Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me for another video. I've tried to film this video a couple times and haven't really been happy with the result. And now there's like honking happening. Wasn't really happy with the result, so I decided to film it again because yeah, I want to, I guess. This video is going to be another review video. I'm breaking down 3 of Winsor Newton's travel watercolor palettes. They're all half pan palettes, and they all started at least with the Cotman watercolor range, which is their student grade watercolor, which I really recommend. They're pretty decent quality. Especially if you're just starting out. They're definitely good enough that you're going to get an idea of what watercolor actually is like, but not so expensive that you're going to break the bank, and then if you end up not liking watercolor, you've, just spent $150 on a watercolor set. All right, so I'll start with my first one. This was, this is the Watercolor Compact set. It is 14 half, or it has space for 14 half pans. So you can see 14 half pans there. As you can also see, it is a very, sorry, my chair is squeaking like crazy. As you can also see, it is a very well-loved palette. This one I got something like 8 years ago, and I used it up until about 6 months ago when I decided I wanted to go a little bit more sleek. So the colors that are in here are not the colors that would come with it. You can check online, or I can put a little picture here with what the colors would be. This is what the set looks like when it's brand new. And I think that the set ranges from about $30 to $60 depending on where you're buying it from. And I think I paid something like $55 or something from Michael's, which is a craft store here in Canada. And yeah, let's just break down the palette a little bit. So right when you open it up, you can see that there's 5 spaces for mixing colors here. And I would also use this place here. So I had 6 color mixing stations total. The reason for this actually is not for mixing colors. I think you're supposed to put water in here and use it as your water container. And then the bottom actually slides out and it's supposed to slide to about there. So you have 4 more spots to mix, plus a handy dandy place for your finger, sort of like that traditional palette type look where you're holding this like this and then painting and whatnot. It's also nice because it can be for right-handed or left-handed people. They kind of took that into consideration. So I never used it like this. You can see these are pretty untouched. I think the color that is in there is from leakage from up top. So I basically just used it like this. And again, never used that for water. I used it for color mixing. I think it also originally came with a little brush. I've since lost it because that was 8 years ago. And I don't tend to keep the little mini brushes that come with them, or I just lose them as time goes on. So yeah, it doesn't take up a lot of space here, so it's not really that big of a deal. The one thing that I really like about this one that the other 2 don't have is it has a really stiff hinge, so that when you're sitting it on your legs or on your lap, and let's say it's sitting over a divot, it's not going to want to fold in on itself. It stays very firmly in the open position, which, you're not always able to work with a flat surface or have a table to set this on. So I really liked that. But it is 14 pans as opposed to the other 2, which are both 12. So those extra 2 pans do add a lot of bulk and space. Also, this little area adds a lot of bulk and space. So, had they just put these 2 here and eliminated this whole front section and kept everything else pretty much the same, I think this would have been a better palette. but it's still a really good one. It served me really well. It's just a bit bulkier than I wanted. I tend to backpack or have a small space, like a tiny, not tiny, but like a little backpack that I use for day trips or whatever. And the least amount of space you can take up, the better. So, all right, so that's that first one. Now on to the second one. So this is the Winsor Newton brush pen set. Also, again, it's a Cotman. So it's called the brush pen set. It's not opening, there you go. Because it comes with a little brush pen. So this is what I use when I'm travel sketching generally. So I thought, you know, I'll try out this travel kit with it already in here. If I can have less things with me, then that would be great. This water brush pen is okay, I would say. It's sort of not really worth the space that it takes up, which is kind of too bad, but they had a good idea with it, I think. All right, so we'll put that to the side just because it's sort of so-so, and we'll just focus on the actual palette here. All right, so 12 half pans now. You've got this large area where the brush pen should sit. I generally don't take it with me anymore because it's just not really, you know, I just don't really care for it that much. And then you have 6 spots for mixing. So again, like, oh, it's just all the noises. Sorry if it's really noisy for you. Again, like this one, I do basically have 6 spots to mix, which is really nice. You're able to keep things a little bit more separated. The way it tilts is when it's open all the way, you get a bit of an angle on the half pan part, and then the top sits flat. You do get a pretty stable, you know, if you press down on it, or if you're like pressing your brush, which you shouldn't press that hard into watercolor anyways, but if you are sort of pressing on it pretty hard, it's not going to flip up, which is nice. They've made it into a good sort of locked position, but the hinge is really floppy, so if I do set it on sort of an uneven surface, it does tend to want to close a little bit, but that's okay. I haven't had too many issues with it. So this is my second one that I've had. A lot more compact than the first one, but it has some space. Like this takes up quite a bit of space, and then each individual spacer takes up space, obviously, so it's not as compact as it could be, which brings us to this one. So as you can see, this is about half the size of the first one that I had. It's even smaller than this brush set one. And yeah, let's get into this one. So this is the Skechers Pocket Box by Winsor Newton, also Cotman, however you want to say it. So this is what it looks like. It opens flat, which is really nice, and there's really no wasted space here. You are getting the most efficient layout pretty well. You have this little paintbrush in here that you know, sits in this little divot. Again, I'm not sure how long this paintbrush is going to survive in this kit. I may decide to keep it. I may not decide to keep it. Yeah, who knows? But at the moment it's sitting in there. Even when it's not there, it's a very small little divot, so I don't think that it would be really that irksome to have it there. And you get 3 places to mix colors, which is not as ideal as 6. Even if they were to split this down the middle, I think I would prefer that, just because having those spots really defined and really divided is just so nice for when you're letting colors dry in there and then you come back to them. You can just reuse these colors again and again. And I know that I said I wasn't going to touch on the actual colors so much because all of them come with a different selection of colors, but this set of colors here is a little bit limited, even in comparison to this 12 set. So these aren't the original colors that this came with. I've made new additions to this. but this one came with black, whereas this one did not come with black. And there's a couple colors that I probably won't ever use. Like, I don't love this Viridian Hue green. It's a very electric green, and I don't love this lemon yellow hue. Again, it's a very like stark, very bright yellow, which I just won't really use it. So those two I probably will eventually switch out, and I'll put a black in there and maybe another color, but it is a pretty decent color range. You can get a lot of different colors. I have a video talking about some of the colors that I've gotten from these 12 here. But yeah, so it's pretty decent. But back to the palette. So this has the same issue as the brush pen set, where it's not a very stiff hinge. So again, if you're kind of on a rough, uneven surface, then it's going to want to close on you as well. But it does open flat, which is nice. Yeah, I don't know if there's really that much else to say about this one. This just really gives you an idea of what the size differences are, and hopefully helps to give you an idea of what to expect. If you're looking to get a set with the colors in mind as well, make sure you go online and see what all of the colors that come with these sets in particular are. I can't remember with these two. But then eventually you might want to switch some colors out, so then it doesn't really matter. At this point, I buy these sets for the case, like the actual case, not for the colors inside, just because I have so many colors that I can switch out. So that is my whole review for you. I hope that you benefited from it in some way, give you some idea of what to expect from each palette and the pros and the cons of each one. I don't use this one at all anymore. This one is my go-to that I take with me places. I've just started using this one because I did workshops all summer, and anytime I could get my hand on one of these, it would go right to a workshop attendee, just because that's like the supplies that I had for the people that were taking the class. But now that I have a couple extra, I was able to experiment a little bit with it. So this one might become my go-to. I don't know. Well, only time will tell. I still have to decorate it for it to fully become mine. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching another rambly, unplanned mess of a video. I hope it was helpful, even in a very small amount. Thank you. Bye.